Hmm. Hare Krishna. Hmm. So let's begin for chapter 5, Canto 6. Let me know if you see the screen. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Who hasn't yet recently read, feel free to take turn this time. We will read from verse 1 to 22. Who
Hare
is it?
Krishna.
And yeah, want to read, Mataji? Then
Yes, Prabhuji.
okay, please start.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srila Sukadev Goswami continued, impelled by the illusionary energy of the Lord Vishnu, Prajāpati Dakṣa begot 10,000 sons in the womb of Panchanjani Akshini. My dear king, these sons were called Harya Swaz. My dear king, all the sons of Prajapati Daksh were alike in being very gentle and obedient to the others, to the orders of their father. When their father ordered them to beget children, they all went in western direction. In the west, where the river Sindhu meets the sea, there is a great place of pilgrimage known as Narayana Saras. Many sages and others advanced in spiritual consciousness live there. In that holy place, the Haryashvas began regularly touching the lake waters and bathing in them. Gradually becoming very much purified, they became inclined towards the activities of Paramhamsa. Nevertheless, because their father had ordered them to increase the population, they performed severe austerities to fulfill his desire. One day, when the great sage Nārada saw those boys performing such fine austerities to increase the population, Nārada approached them. The great sage Nārada said, "My dear Haryashvas, you have not seen the extremities of the earth. There is a kingdom where only one man lives, and where there is a hole from which, having entered, no one emerges. A woman there who is extremely unchaste adorns herself with various attractive dresses, and the man who lives there is her husband. In that kingdom, there is a river flowing in both the directions, a wonderful home made of 25 materials, a swan that vibrates various sound, and an automatically revolving object made of sharp razors and thunderbolt. You have not seen all this, and therefore you are inexperienced boys without advanced knowledge. How then will you create progeny? Alas, your father is omniscient, but you do not know his actual order. Without knowing the actual purpose of your father, how will you create progeny? Sri Sukdev Goswami said, hearing these enigmatic words of Narad Muni, the Haryavashvas considered them with their natural intelligence without help from other. The Haryasvas understood the meaning of Narada's word as follow. The word Bhu, the earth, approaching a little down, earth refers to the field of activities. The material body, which is a result of the living being action in his field of activities, and it gives him false designation. Since time immemorial, he has received various types of material bodies, which are the roots of bondage to the material world. If one foolishly engages in temporary fruitic activities and does not look toward the cessation of this bondage, what will be the benefit of his action? Narad Muni has said that there is a kingdom where there is only one male. The Haryasvas realize the purport of this statement. The only enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who observes everything everywhere. He is full of six opulence and fully independent of everyone else. He never subject to the three modes of material nature, and for he is always transcendental to this material creation. If the members of human society do not understand him, the Supreme, through their advancement in knowledge and activities, but simply work, though their advancement in knowledge and activities, but simply work very hard like cats and dogs all days and nights for temporary happiness. What will be the benefit of for their activities? Narada Muni had described that there is a bila or a hole from which, having entered, one does not return. The Haryasvash understood the meaning of this allegory. Hardly once has a person who has entered the lower planetary system called Patala been seen to return. Similarly, if one enters the Vaikuntha Dham, Pratyagya Dham, he does not return to this material world. If there is such a place from which, having gone, one does not return to the miserable material condition of life, what is the use of jumping like monkeys in the temporary material world and not seeing or understanding that place? What will be the profit? Narada Muni had described a woman who is a professional prostitute. The Haryashvas understood the identity of this woman. Mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dress just to attract one's attention. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this is taking place, what does he actually gain? Narad Muni had also spoken of a man who is the husband of the prostitute. The Haryashvas understood this as follows. If one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. Similarly, if a living entity has polluted intelligence, he prolongs his materialistic life. Frustrated by material nature, he must follow the movements of the intelligence, which brings various conditions of happiness and distress. If one performs fruitive activities under such condition, what will be the benefit? Narada Muni had said that there is a river flowing in both the direction. The Haryasvas understood the purport of this statement. Material nature function in two ways, by creation and dissolution. Thus, the river of material nature flows both ways. A living entity who unknowingly falls in the river is submerged in its waves, and since the current is swifter near the banks of the river, he is unable to get out. What will be the benefit of performing fruitive activities in that river of Maya? Narad Muni has said that there is a house made of 25 elements. The Haryashvas understood this analogy. The Supreme Lord is a reservoir of 25 elements, and as the Supreme Being, the conductor of cause and effect, he causes their manifestation. If one engages in temporary fruitive activities, not knowing that Supreme Person, what benefit will he derive? Narad Muni had spoken of a swan. That swan is explained in this verse. The Vedic literature, Shastras, vividly describe how to understand the Supreme Lord, the source of all material and spiritual energy. Indeed, they elaborately explain these two energies. The swan, Hamsa, is one who discriminates between matter and spirit, who accepts the essence of everything, and who explain the means of bondage and the means of liberation. The words of scriptures consist of variegated vibration. If a foolish rascal leaves aside the side of the study of these sastras to engage in temporary activities, what will be the result? Naran Muni had spoken of a physical object made of sharp blades and thunderbolts. The Haryasvas understood this allegory as follow. Eternal time moves very sharp, as if made of razors and thunderbolts, uninterrupted and fully independent. It derives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? Narad Muni had asked how one could ignorantly defy one's own father. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of this question. One must accept the original instruction of the Sastras. According to Vedic civilization, one is offered a sacred thread as a sign of a second birth. One takes his second birth by the dint of having received instructions in the Shastras from a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, Shastra, scripture, is the real father. All the Shastras instruct that one should end his material way of life. If one does not know the purpose of the father's order, the Shastra, he is ignorant. The world of a material father who endeavors to engage his son in material activities are not real instructions of the father. Sukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, after hearing the instructions of Narada, the Haryashvas, the son of Prajāpati Dakṣa, were firmly convinced. They all believed in his instruction and reached the same conclusion. Having accepted him as their spiritual master, they circumambulated that great sage and followed the path by which one never returns to the world. Prabhuji, we have to read till
22.
The seven musical notes sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni are used in musical instruments, but originally they come from Samveda. The great sage Narada vibrates the sound describing the pastimes of Supreme Lord. By such transcendental vibrations such as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he fixes his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, he directly perceived Rishikesha, the master of the senses. After delivering the Haryasvas, Narad Muni continued traveling throughout the planetary system. His mind is always fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji. As usual, would like to know, hear from you. How was it?
Yeah, Prabhuji, it is very insightful read and very nicely they have interpreted the verse from Narad Muni that itself shows that they were fit to be his disciples. Because for one reading, what Narad Muni told them, it was not easy, and then they could get that real knowledge from the words of jugglery from Narad Muni. It was very nice that the later verses, how they have expounded, and it also reminded me of the same how initially when Brahmaji was also trying to create the universe, he was also begetting sons and everybody was just going in the way
All
of
directions. Hmm.
civilization. So that was
He
also
created day, he created night, he created Rakshasas, Yakshas. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And first he like Sanat Kumara, so they he created them also for this reason, but they again took to different parts. The same sort of story is happening with Daksha also.
Hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very nice. Thank you. ज्ञानतिमृन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतापदकमलान् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सह गणरघुनतान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सह गणललित श्रीविशाखान्वितं शनमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अवध्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्ण Yeah, I like this chapter very much for the reasons that Varsanila Mata you highlighted, and I like so much the purports that are uh, excellently helping us to understand the play of the Lord through his devotees. So here we start with Tasyam sa Panchajanyam Vai Vishnu Mayo Brahmihita Harishva Samyan Ayutam Putran Ajanayad Vibhu. So after the blessings of the Lord, or even instructions of the Lord to Daksha to expand the population, and the Lord disappeared, if you remember in the last chapter. And then here Shukadeva Goswami is saying what happened afterwards. A devotee is immediately eager to get on job or get on his service, not wasting any time. So Daksha, he begot 10,000 sons in the womb of Panchajani. So, and they are called Haryashvas. Haryashvas, these 10,000 were not ordinary. They are not at all ordinary because they say, uh, Apratag Dharmashilaste Sarva Dakshayana Nrupa Pitra Prokta Praja Sarge Pratichit Prayayu Disham. They are saying all the sons of Prajapati Daksha were alike in being very gentle, and also dharma shila, good character and behavior. They had a good character in order to, what is one of that is obedient to the orders of their father. When their father ordered them to beget children, they all went to the western direction. Yeah, so maybe this trend is not just that Prabhupada has. We can see, yeah, people sometimes criticize that, why Prabhupada went to the west. Yeah, I think it's not only there. It is said in the west where the river Sindhu meets the sea, there is a great place of pilgrimage called Narayan Saras. Many sages and others advanced in spiritual consciousness live there. And of course, Prabhupada did further expand that he brought also with water facilities that this Krishna consciousness can spread all over. So he brought to the West, worldwide West, to the US and then all over. तत् उपस्पर्शनात् एव विनिर्धूत मलाशया धर्मे पारमहंस्ये च प्रोत्पन्न मतयोऽपि उत तेऽपि रे तप एवोग्रं पित्रादेशेन यत्रितात् प्रजा वृद्धये यथा Devarshis Dadarsha. It says, in that holy place where Haryashvas began regular bathing and becoming very purified, they became inclined towards the activities of Paramahamsas. This is very nice. Purification is very important part of one's consciousness. We may think that purification is only about how to maintain the body so that we don't get sick, we don't get diseased, we live long and all these things. But actually, mental peace is even more uh, mm, uh, more has more prominent role to play in our life. Has more importance, significance. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to. Has a higher significance in our life. Of course, we are not neglecting our body, but we have to make sure that we don't neglect our mind and soul. What are the needs of that? And here, so one of the activities is to go to the pilgrimage to purify one's consciousness, to absorb in that mood, because there are yogis who have understood. Yeah, sometimes I don't know if these thoughts come in our mind, but time to time they say, "Hey, I think have you not got completely entangled in this life? And you know what? I have that responsibility. I have this responsibility. Oh, why should I have all these things? Better that I become a sadhu." So in that way, at least there are so many sadhus in those pilgrim places who inspire us that after going there, how we should lead a life. And gradually becoming very much purified, they became inclined toward the activities of Paramahamsa. Nevertheless, because their father has ordered them to increase population, they performed severe austerities to fulfill his desires. This is very nice. This shows how I think we have come across responsible children are taking responsibility of purifying the consciousness by austerities and penances, and through which they get blessed. For example, when we talk about in the case of King Puranjana, sorry, Prachina Barishat sons, Prachetas, when they went. They also were instructed to expand progeny, and then Lord Shiva's mercy, divine intervention has blessed them. And here the divine intervention we see is one day when the great sage Narada saw these boys performing such fine austerities to increase the population, that is very difficult. Uvacha chata haryashvaha katha katham shraktha vai prajaha adrishtavantam bhuvo yuyam balisha bata palakaha tataika purusham rashtram bilam chadrishta nirgamam bahurupam striyam चापि पुमांसं पुंश्चलीपतिं नदीम उभयतो वाहां पंचद्भुतं ग्रहं 25 क्वचिद् धम्सं चित्र कथं क्षौर पव्यं स्वयं ब्रह्मी. See, he's just pondering and just said only one verse, as personally, Mother, you said. This one verse was enough. Why? Because the Haryashvas were at a stage of Paramahamsas. Yeah, because they were purified, because they understood, they were in this association of other saintly persons who are absorbed in spiritual consciousness. So Narada Muni said, "You have not seen the extremities of the earth. Huh? There is a kingdom where only one man lives and where there is a hole from which, having entered, no one emerges. Huh? A woman there who is extremely unchaste adorns herself with various attractive dresses, and the man who lives there is her husband. In that kingdom, there is a river flowing in both directions, vibrates various sounds, and automatically revolving objects made of sharp razors and thunderbolts. You have not seen all this, and therefore you are inexperienced boys without advanced knowledge. Hope then will how then will you create progeny? Hmm. It might appear that this could be a lesson for brahmacharis, huh? Isn't it? A brahmachari class where we can discuss about how Narad Muni has changed prachetas, how Narad Muni is now changing Haryashvas. Uh, but it's not only that. It is when we think, hey, what can I do? What will I do? What is the purpose if I am going to know about all this? Yeah, because I'm already grihasthas. But this allegory should help us to relate ourselves to develop a sense of detachment, because it's not like that if one enters into grihastha ashram, then finish, life is over. It's not like that. The life is always there. There is always a free will. There is always opportunities and mm, luck, yeah, yeah, opportunities is better word. Opportunities that keep coming and we create coming, so that we can always lead a detached life even in grihasthashram. But we need to realize the challenges of grihasthashram, so this chapter can still help us there. So the purport is that the Naramuni saw the boys, and out of compassion, this is main, he sees, why then should they be encouraged to become entangled in family life? Hmm. Which is so dark that once having entered it, one cannot leave it. So indirectly, he asked them, because uh, we know what happened. So as the early times, yeah, when Brahma's case, yeah, the Brahma was not happy. So here the Daksha. So here he said, he asked them to find within the core of their hearts the situation of the super soul Lord Vishnu, for then they would truly be experienced. In other words, if one is coming to the state of differentiating the spirit and matter, still there is a higher step, which is actually understanding the nature of the Lord within one's heart uh, in this full form. In other words, one who is too involved in the material environment and does not look within the core of his heart is increasingly entangled in the illusory energy. So Narada Muni especially, he came and then he's the one who is giving spiritual realizations to everyone one, instead of involving them in ordinary but complicated affairs of propagation. So he said, this is the same instruction that Prahlad Maharaj has given to the school co-students. Tat sadhu manye suravarya dehinam sada samudvigna diyam Asadgrahat hitvatma patam graham andakupam vanam gato yad dharim ashrayeta. It says this how this world in the dark well of family life one is always full of anxiety because of having a temporary body. If one wants to free himself from this anxiety, one should immediately leave family life and take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in what? In forest. What is the forest? Vrindavan. Narad Muni advised the Harishvas not to enter household life. This is advice. Yeah? Since they were already advanced in spiritual knowledge, why should they be entangled in that way? So, because this is a question we may have, na? There is instruction of the father to the son, and how come someone can come and overrule that? And is it not an offense? Is it not right? After all, Daksha is instructed by the Lord to create progeny, so he is doing his service, and Narad Muni is coming to spill over all the efforts that Dakṣa has in plan, in implementation. So this we can see is just like in the case of Kumaras, they didn't want to get entangled in the affairs, family affairs, and they were already aware about it, and they did it. And others who need support, who need guidance, so Narad Muni here he plays that important service as a spiritual master. कथं स्वपितुर आदेशम अविद्वांसो विपश्चितः अनुरूपम अविज्ञाय अहो सर्गम करिष्यत. Alas, your father is omniscient, but you do not know his actual order. Without knowing the actual purpose of your father, how will you create progeny? Hmm? Saying so, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, hearing these enigmatic words. What is this enigmatic words is something, a secret, a putam. There is something hidden. Words of Narada, Haryashvas considered them with their natural intelligence, without help from others. That is the position of Haryashvas. They didn't need any support. Bhuhu kshetram jiva samyam yad anadi nija bandhanam adrishtva tasya nirvanam kim asat karmabhir bhavet. So then Haryash was started understanding the purport of Narad Muni's mm, question, this enigmatic, filled with enigmatic words. The word bhu refers to the field of activities, kshetra. The material body, which is a result of living beings, beings' action, is called field of activity, kshetragya. No, kshetragya. Kshetragya is the one who knows it. Uh, and it gives his false destination. So, in short, it says Narad Muni spoke to Haryashvas about the 10 allegorical subjects. This one by one, now the Haryashvas themselves are analyzing and understanding what is the potent of what Narad Muni has said. Uh, so here there is this subjects are the king, the kingdom, the river, the house, the physical elements, and so forth. After considering these by themselves, Haryashvas could understand that the living entity encaged in this body seeks happiness, but takes no interest in how to become free from this engagement. So we all want happiness, but we are not serious of taking to the right path. A man works all day and night for sense gratification, and animals like hogs and dogs also work for sense gratification all day and night. Birds, beasts, and all other conditional living entities engage in various activities without knowledge of soul encaged within the body, especially human form of bodies, in that one's duty is to act in such a way that he can release himself from the engagement. Uh, One should come out of this uh, and then, but without the instruction of Narada or his representative in disciplic succession, people blindly engage in bodily activities to enjoy Maya Sukha. Maya Sukha is flickering happiness. Yeah, yesterday I was thinking, oh, when when we practice bhakti, we may not be so jubilant, yeah, like all our body is vibrating, and when I'm expressing, hey, how nice the food is there in that restaurant, or how nice was this movie, the whole body is occupied. Are we getting that kind of bliss or happiness when we are doing bhakti? When I'm doing chanting, I'm only feeling very bad that I'm not doing proper chanting, or when I'm cooking, I'm not sure how it comes out. Uh, and when I'm doing my archana, I don't know. I'm very sure the quality is pretty bad. So when I'm seeing all the negatives, not able to do best of it, so the mood is not so encouraging, and also it's not so it's not giving so happiness. So should we opt out from bhakti and opt in full-fledged in materialistic activities so that it can give this great feelings, great. Nowadays you can see so many events are tailor-made to give you the best within 10 seconds, 15 seconds. If you look into a reels that can give you quite, they can catch your attention, give you what you want in a matter of one minute. um, it's not so easy, right? So everyone is hooked. They keep scrolling, never ending scrolling. That is giving, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, how come they can have million views and all these things? But is that going to fill us? Because we are getting happiness for some time, and for some time. If we add all this sometimes, is it becoming eternal? No, this is Maya Sukha. It is flickering happiness. Flickering temporary happiness. This is temporary. Why? Because the same thing, I think once Gaur Gopal Prabhu said, once you hear to a joke, uh, you will laugh as if your stomach is going to burst. But if the same joke is cracked again and again and again, yeah, that is gone. Of course, science can say this is because of some hormones and etc. It doesn't matter, but all this is temporary happiness. Why? Because it's touching only the is only touching the peripheral. No, yeah, I think peripheries of our mind. Yeah, they are not giving happiness, which is actually that comes from the heart. And so that's why we can see that they do not know how to become free from their mental engagement. Rishabdev therefore said that such activity is not at all good, since it engages the soul again and again in the body subjected to threefold miseries. Haryashvasa, the sons of Daksha, could immediately understand what Narada Muni is saying, and Prabhupada highlights that our Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for such enlightenment, which means getting out of engagement. Hmm. We are trying to enlighten humanity so that people may come to understand that they should work hard in tapasya for self-realization and freedom from continuous bondage of birth, death, old age, and diseases. Maya, however, is very strong, so she is expert in putting impediments in the way of this understanding. Why? We'll come to that later. Therefore, sometimes one comes to Krishna consciousness movement, but again falls into the clutches of Maya, not understanding the importance of this movement. I just highlighted for myself. Why? Because yes, we are taking privilege. We are taking this as a privilege, just for granted. It's so nice that we are in Krishna consciousness. But if we are not careful, then Maya can kick us out. What does it mean when we are not careful? Is when we don't focus on our service, when we don't, or we do something that is not pleasing to the Lord or His devotees. We are so एक एव स्वरस तुर्यो भगवान स्वाश्रय परः तम अदृष्टवा भवन पुंसः किम असत कर्मभिर्भवेत्. Hmm. Haryashvas now realized when they said about kingdom that the only one enjoyer is the Supreme Lord, who observes everything everywhere. He is full of six opulences, fully independent of everyone else. He is never subject to three modes of material nature. Yeah, for he is always transcendental. If the members of human society do not understand him through their advancement in knowledge and activities, but simply work very hard like cats and dogs all day and night for temporary happiness, what will be the benefit of their activities? Very, very nice. Actually, as in as and when or as in how when we are advancing, we should come to these questions by nature, because that shows how mature we are, that we are able to differentiate. Just like when we are talking about a swan can differentiate between the two, which is example given is milk and water. So the swan can drink only the milk, yeah. Or the understanding here is that it can differentiate between the hamsas, paramahamsas, the realized souls. They can differentiate between what is true spirit and what is true matter. And when one gradually advances, he should understand what is real happiness, what is temporary or materialistic happiness, and then should be vigilant to not get caught up in this temporary happiness, which can stay like that temporarily, eternally temporary. Yeah, Nitya Baddhas. Narad Muni mentioned here a kingdom where there is only one king with no competitor. This is the position of the Lord. There is no competitor. He is all in all. Of course, when he likes to enjoy the rasa, the mellow of fighting an opponent, he himself is able to choose an opponent. Then people may think, hey, what is so great? I have a servant and I'll ask, hey, let's fight. And the servant will say, hey, no, yes, I will fight, but he is always scared. If he really fights, maybe the boss will kick him out. So, no, the Lord illusions such a person so that he even forgets he is a servant. So that with all passion, with all this effects of Maya, that one is in the three worlds of three material, in the material world, he is coming with full competition spirit, as if like not only that he forgets that he is a devotee, he even forgets there is a God. So to that extent. Anyway, so the complete spiritual world and specifically the cosmic manifestation has only one proprietor or enjoyer, who is none other than the Lord. Here, the word bhava means takes birth, comes from word bhu, to be. I'm looking for a word which is turiya. I think that is coming maybe later. Hmm. Narad Muni advises that human beings not waste their time simply by jumping like cats and monkeys without real benefit. The duty of human being is to understand the supreme personality of Godhead. And then puman naivaiti yad gatva bila swargam gato yatha pratyak dhama vida iha kim asat karma bhir bhavet. Yeah, again the question is, Harish was understood, and then they're saying hardly once a person who has entered the lower planetary system called Patal been seen to return. That is the situation. The Hariyashvas are saying if one is going down, it is very rare that he can come up. This is also very important how we are dealing with newcomers or new devotees, that we shouldn't discourage them in their interest to advance, in their interest to take to Krishna consciousness, because it is said that one gets a chance and an interest to advance in Krishna consciousness out of many, many lifetimes. And if one is demotivated for whatever reason, then it is the most unfortunate condition that we are giving. Rather than serving him, we are actually spoiling his great opportunity. So he does not return to the middle. If there is such a place from which, having gone, one does not return to the miserable condition of life. Now, Hariyashvas are saying, but yeah, what about this Vaikuntha Dham is amazing, because if one goes there, then it is said if there is similarly if one enters the Vaikuntha Dham, Pratyak Dham, he does not return to this material world. It's a statement here. If there is such a place from which, having gone, one does not return to this material condition of life, what is the use of jumping like monkeys in the temporary world and not seeing or understanding the place? What will be the profit? We are looking all profits, profit. We want that, I want this, so that I can have that, I can have this, all based on my selfish interest. Whereas the Haryashvas are saying, what is the use of living in a material world looking all this profit and loss business? Uh, Janma karma cha me divyam. So the best means is to understand the Lord and advance. So if one can properly understand Krishna, who has already been described as the Supreme Lord, he does not return here after giving up his material body. This fact has been described in this verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Puman naivaiti yad gatva. He does not return to this material world, but returns home back to Godhead to live an eternally blissful life of knowledge. Then, why do people not care about this? What will be the benefit of taking birth again in this material world? Sometimes as human beings, sometimes as demigods, sometimes as cat or dog. What is the benefit of wasting time? Krishna says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paraman gatyaha. He says, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Hmm. So this is the point. So that's why um, uh, one's real concern should be to free himself from the repetition of birth and death. In these verses, the sons of Dakshas repeatedly say, Kim asat karma bhir bhavet? What is the use of impermanent fruitive activities? Hmm? Nana Rupatmano Buddhihi Swayarniva Gunanvita Tan Nishtam Agar Yeha Kim Asat Karmabhir Bhavet. Uh, Again, what is that? Kim Asat Karmabhir Bhavet. Uh, what is the use? What are we doing? Haresh was understood the identity of woman. Now, because Narad Muni said, a woman who is professional prostitute. Oh my God, not even only prostitute, but a professional prostitute. She knows how to um, attract a customer that he doesn't go to, what, let me put it the other way. She knows how to uh, capture her customers that they don't go to the next door. I don't know if you have seen all this. I mean, even I'm when I'm seeing from outside. If you go by train from Düsseldorf to Cologne, where we used to go every week to temple, as soon as you cross the railway platform while the train is going, there you start seeing a big building on which I don't know if you have seen. There is some green. The windows are marked with green color, red color, some kind of colors. I don't know if you have seen. Yeah, maybe you're not. Huh? And then there will be the lights which are reddish, and there will be a girl who is sitting on that window bank, or what do you call that? Yeah. So she's just waiting. Um, so they are so desperate so that they can have the customers so that they can earn. Yeah. And professional prostitutes make sure that once they come, the person is not leaving. Yeah, they are ready. They may tell $1,000 and then they come to, okay, for you some price, okay, for you that, or for this that, or somehow or the other they want to make sure that once one comes, he is not he he uh, she doesn't, yeah, that she makes sure that she doesn't miss anymore. So, and here Narada is saying a woman who is a professional prostitute, and who is that, understood the identity of this woman. Who is that? It is our perverted intelligence mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence. What happens is when our mind is driven by passion, rajoguna, what is happening is, yes, I want to enjoy that. Yes, I want to go here. I want to eat that. I want to do this. I want to sleep that. I want to all this. Mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dress just to attract one's attention. What is that? The intelligence is always demanding, oh, but not pure intelligence. It is the uh, hacked. It is the hmm, it is the perverted intelligence. It is the contaminated. Yeah, it is the contaminated intelligence which is causing all this problem. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this is taking place, what does he actually gain? uh, uh, yeah, Prabhupada, what I was mentioning, I picked from Prabhupada purport, is saying, a woman who has no husband declares herself independent, which means that she becomes a prostitute. A prostitute generally dresses herself in various fashions intended to attract a man's attention to the lower part of her body. And Prabhupada goes further, it says that today it has become a much advertised fashion of a woman to go almost naked, covering the lower part of her body only slightly in order to draw the attention of a man to her private parts of sexual enjoyment. Prabhupada was telling so many years back, now we see even more dangerous concepts. Yeah, at least, yeah, it's quite dangerous and of all ages. It's not only that prostitutes are doing all this kind of alluring business, but it's also the young generation, even if it is, yeah, even kids. I'm really, really sad to see the girls, even if they are just 6 years, 7 years, you start seeing how the dressing is that because of lacking this understanding how important it is to be. Uh, and then, what do you call this? There was a time when in India, there initially there was only Doordarshan National, Doordarshan, I don't know what is the other things, and that was the only thing, right? And but then when the Star TV, cable TV, satellite TV came, then the fashion TV came, and people started seeing fashion shows. Um, that uh, that was one, and the other one was music, and both had a lot of vulgar dressing with a lot of trends which were not even uh, seen in India, but those became very famous, very famous. Just like as if like if someone is coming from abroad, the expectation is that he brings some vodka or whiskey or something else. These magazines of Vogue or Playboy or all these things are so much which are available easily in the West, and they are smuggled into India. And why? Because the demand started growing. Why? Because people wanted a quick, what is that? A Maya Sukh. And for that, they are ready to invite advancement, technology advancement, so that satellite TVs can bring them. And then the good thing is you don't have to be exposed to anyone. You can do whatever you want in your four walls and all these things. Um, so the intelligence is very important. The intelligence engaged to attract a man to the lower part of body is the intelligence of a professional prostitute. Similarly, the intelligence of a living entity who does not turn his attention, give me 1 second, attention towards Krishna or the Krishna consciousness movement simply changes dresses like a prostitute. So our shelter is Krishna consciousness. We should be very careful. We should be very careful because the world where we are living is very dangerous, very dangerous, uh, with all its flavors and colors and yeah, in as I said in the past, one have to go for it to get it, but nowadays those are coming just into your hand, and we have to be more careful. What is the benefit of such foolish intelligence? One should be intelligently conscious in such a way that he need no longer change from one body to other. That is the intelligence. In our Krishna, Prabhupada writes, in our Krishna consciousness movement, fashionable persons are taught to adopt one fashion. What is that one fashion? The dress of a Vaishnava, hmm, with shaved head and tilak. They are taught to be always clean in mind, dress, and eating in order to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. So there could be this debate. Hey, does the dress matter? Does the food matter? Uh, does the attire matter? Yeah, definitely they matter so that they can help us to fix ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Uh, and what is the use of changing one's dress? Sometimes wearing long hair and a long beard, and sometimes dressing otherwise. This is not good. One should not waste his time in such frivolous activities. One should always be fixed in Krishna consciousness and take the cure of devotional service with firm determination. If you want, you're going to make a note and post it, whatever, you can refer that in the 14th verse of this chapter purport. And then tat sangha brahmshitaishwaryam samsarantam kubharyavat tad gatim abudasyeha kim asat karmabhir bhavet. Again, kim asat karmabhir bhavet. Again, the question saying, what is the benefit? What is the benefit? Because Haryashvas understood that Narad Muni has also spoken of a man who is the husband of prostitute. Haryashvas understood this as follows. If one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. As I said, if a prostitute is a professional prostitute, she makes sure this I'm referring mainly, I mean, when I'm bringing about this, it's not my own personal experiences. Please, I'm bringing this from, have anyone heard about Vemana? Vemana Shataka in South India. Uh, um, if not, yeah, who else? Anyway, he's a great yogi. He became a yogi, but before that he was running behind a prostitute. Or if you talk about, there is Abhiram, Bilva Mangal Thakur. Yeah, how a prostitute, of course, in the Bilva Mangal Thakur, it was that he was so much attracted, but the prostitute helped him. But usually, if we see here in the case of Vemana, who who is a very rich Jamindar, very rich, and he somehow got attracted to a prostitute, and prostitute was always asking, bring me gold, bring me ornaments, etc., etc. So he started becoming a slave of her, and finally she just kicked him out after he has nothing to offer anymore. And that is what is a professional prostitution. Yeah, prostitution is. So if one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. Why? What does it mean? He started lying because though he didn't like to lie, he started lying. And if similarly, if a living entity has polluted intelligence, he prolongs his materialistic life. Frustrated by material nature, he must follow the movements of the intelligence, which bring various happiness and distress. If one performs fruitive activities under such conditions, what is the use? And that's why Prabhupada writes in the purport, polluted intelligence has been compared to a prostitute. Polluted intelligence is compared like a prostitute, which means it's very difficult to stick to our dharma. It is very difficult to be Krishna conscious and practice what we are supposed to. Why? Because our mind always is pulled. I want name, I want fame, I want that, I want this, I want position. Uh, um, and I have jealous, I have greed, I have all these things are there, and because of these pullings or longings, one is carried away, and that is what is called polluted intelligence. And because of that, one who has not purified his intelligence is said to be controlled by that prostitute. As stated, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kurunandana, which means that shloka is saying one should have single pointed Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, one single pointed intelligence. And the the purport from Acharyas about this verse, I think if you remember when we discussed in Golokadam on this, is that one from various sampradayas we can refer is saying that one should have one single point of focus, accepting only one person as his master. And who is that? The Lord. Whatever other things, what will happen? Ekeha Kurunandana Bahushaka hi Anantasya. If one is carried away, he thinks, no, let me engage in other so-called happiness and distress. He just suffers. And Prabhupada writes, one must judiciously understand the activities of material nature. Prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. We should also understand that I am not the doer. I am not the doer at the material platform. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried by nature. So, and Prabhupada highlights about the scientists in their spirit, what are they doing, etc., etc. But we go to the next verse. Srishti apyaya karim mayam vela kulanta vegitam mattasya tam avignasya kim asat karmabhir bhavet. So Haryashvas understood that about the directions. The river is flowing and it has two directions. They say the material nature functions in two ways. What are the two ways? Creation and dissolution. Thus, the river of material nature flows both ways. A living entity who unknowingly falls into this river is submerged in its waves. What happens? One is going in this river eternally, life after life, life after life. If with knowledge, I think the purport comes, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, we go to the purport. One may be submerged in the waves of rivers of Maya, but one may also get free from the waves by coming to the banks of knowledge and austerity. Both are very important, otherwise we just go in the flow. But but near these banks, however, the waves are very strong. If one does not understand how he is being tossed by the waves, but simply engages in temporary fruitive activities, what benefit he will derive? And then here, Prabhupada refers, why is this energy so strong? It is Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti Rekha, Chayeva, Yasya, Bhuvanani, Bibardi, Durga. Durga Devi, the Maya Shakti, is in charge of Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, creation and dissolution, and she acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Krishna is saying, when one falls in the river of nescience, he is always tossed here and there. Huh? So, and thereby waves. But the same Maya can also save him when he surrenders to Krishna or becomes Krishna conscious. To attain freedom from material life, one must take to Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if one very busily engages in so-called material advancement of science, what benefit he will get? So it is said one must understand how Maya works and one can be released from the tossing waves of river of nescience. That is one's first duty. I'm just again highlighting what Prabhupada is emphasizing, at least for my level of understanding what is significant or prominent points to pick. Then Pancha Vimshati Tattvanam, Purushodbhuta Darpanaha Adhyatmika Abud Abudasyeha Kim Asat Karmabhir Bhavet. What about this 25 elements? The Lord is has said that there is a house made of 25 elements. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of 25 elements and as the Supreme Being, conductor of cause and effect, He causes their manifestation. If one engages in temporary fruitive activities, what is the benefit? So there is no use. Again, this purport is very elaborate, which says one should seriously study the facts concerning creation, maintenance, and devastation, as well as permanent place from which one never returns. Usually, we are now finding out the root cause. What is the root cause? We are thinking, oh, how is this whole creation happened? How is it being maintained? I think people are not thinking how is it maintained because we think things are taken for granted few. The changes that are evolving, we accept change is normal, change is permanent, all these things. And devastation, no one, or the devastation, our understanding is just like a car battery. If the battery is gone, then the car can't move. So we are thinking this whole thing has some energy, and when the energy is gone, that energy, then devastation happens. We are not seeing that the cause of that devastation is the adharma. When the adharma comes to peak, then the time when the day of Brahma ends. So there are these different understandings. So when one is not spending time, there is no profit in such activities. One must engage himself in Krishna consciousness movement. Aishwaryam Shastram Ujsrujya Bandha Mokshanu Darshanam Vivikta Padam Agnyaya Kim Asat Karma Bir Bhavet. Now comes to that. Yeah, he was saying about swan. That swan is explained in this verse. What is that? The Vedic literatures, Shastras vividly describe how to understand the Supreme Lord, the source of all material and spiritual energy. This is very important. We don't want that um, we have, after all, scientists are telling so much, so let's read all these scientific books. What is it called? Metaphysics, quantum physics, whatnot. So many physics are there, huh? Biophysics. So many are there. And okay, let's do the following. For bhakti, let me go to Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. But when it comes to understanding the matter, I think our science has advanced so much. Let us turn towards that. That's a big foolishness. Why? Because we are estimating the reality of material world through the process of pratyaksha praman, anuman praman, and also Shabda Praman based on the faulty, um, what do you call this? The scientists, what are they presenting? Faulty principles, not principles, something, there is a postulates or something, I forgot the word. Um, Yeah, based on faulty. So Shabda Praman again, which is not coming from disciplic succession. So that is what we are accepting because it is showing us a sense of realistic because our eyes are seeing what we are speculating makes sense because our mind is only to this level. So we think, hey, this is everything. Just like a third class student, he thinks third class is everything. And even if there are some faults, we are just accepting it. The words of the scriptures consist of variegated vibrations. If a foolish rascal leaves aside the study of these shastras to engage in temporary activities, what is the result? Huh? That is our condition. Krishna consciousness movement is very eager to present Vedic literature in modern languages, especially Western languages such as English, French, and German. This is what is written. The leaders of the Western world, the Americans and Europeans, have become the idol of modern civilization because the Western people are very sophisticated in temporary activities for advancement of material civilization, isn't it? The sane man, however, can see that all such grand activities, although perhaps very important for temporary life, have nothing to do with eternal life. Whatever we may do, whatever we are doing, we are putting all the braces, just like when someone is sliding, he makes sure that there are protective measures. What do you call in German? Brems, Bremspaket, huh? Brems, yeah, I don't know. I think something like that. Yeah, you have always some way to oh, apply some brakes for if something is going to fall. So there is always this protection mechanism that we are trying, and all these protections are harming us back. The entire world is imitating the West materialistic civilization of West, and therefore Krishna consciousness movement is very much interested in giving the Western people the knowledge of translating the original Sanskrit Vedic literature into Western language. Uh, so this is the position. This is so Krishna consciousness movement. We should be very proud that we are part of that. Why? Because this is doing something that no other. Again, you may say, hey, how can you say there are so many spiritual institutions? I mean, I cannot comment so boldly like Prabhupada, but I can just repeat what Prabhupada is saying. When he went to the West, when he saw the books that were in Bhagavad Gita, hmm, he saw definitely there is a need because the Bhagavad Gitas were not presented as it is, as a devotee would present, as a sincere, humble devotee of the Lord would present. So Prabhupada made this translation available in English, and not only that, because it is not only for people who understand Hindi, Sanskrit, or Indian languages or English, but also everyone in the world needs to know. So the Krishna consciousness movement, however, is trying to convert. misguided, drug-addicted students to the service of Krishna and engage them in the best welfare activities for human society. Kala Chakram Brahmi Tikshnam Sarvam Nishkarshayad Nishkarshayaj Jagat Swatantram Abudaseya Kim Asat Karmabhir Bhavet. So Haryashvas understood this allegory as follows, that they say there is about mention about sharp blades and thunderbolts. What is that? Eternal time moves very sharply, as if made of razors and thunderbolts. Uninterrupted and fully independent, it drives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal elements of time, what benefit can one define and derive? Prabhupada refers about Shaura. Yeah, you know this shaving shop where you go. Shaura is shaving, or a blade is actually the where Shaura Pavyam Swayam Brahmi, which especially refers to the orbit of eternal time. The eternal time is not just still; it's always moving, always moving, always moving. Just like if you have a watch, the seconds is always moving. The time is even minute than the second, because second is what, of course, millisecond, microsecond, we are just having these, but it's even minute, which is slowly always moving. Swayam Brahmi means to move, which especially refers to the orbit. It is said that the time and tide wait for no man. It is not that only let me move after the seconds hand moves a bit. No, according to, I mean, Chanakya Pandit says, Ayushaha Kshana Ekopi Na Labhya Swarna Kotibhi Nachin Nirarthakam Nitihi Ka Cha Hanis Tato Adhika. Even a moment of one's lifetime cannot be returned in exchange of millions of dollars. Therefore, one should consider how much loss one suffers if he wastes even a moment of his life for nothing. Living like an animal, not understanding the goal of life, one foolishly thinks that there is no eternity and that his lifespan of 50 or 60 or most or at most 100 years is everything. This, Prabhupada writes, this is the greatest foolishness. Time is eternal, and in the material world, one passes through different phases of life. Time is compared here to a sharp razor. A razor is meant to shave the hair from one's face, but if not carefully handled, the razor will cause disaster. Yeah. One should be extremely careful to utilize the span of life. Uh, so, which means a devotee should aspire, okay, that may he have a long life. We are not like Kulashekara, where he's saying, oh, I'm already attained such a consciousness of the Lord. Lord, if you want to take away, please take away now. At least I can't say that, oh Lord, please take away now. I'm very sure that I'll go into hellish world. Uh, so I always beg for giving, oh Lord, please give me more time so that I can try to reform, rectify whatever all the things I have done, of course, with your blessings. So this prayer is there. So, but Lord also doesn't just give the time if we are misusing. One should be extremely careful to utilize the span of his life for spiritual realization of Krishna consciousness. Shastrasya pitur adesham yo na veda nivartakam katham tad anurupaya guna vishrambhi upakramet. So Narada asked how one could ignorantly defy one's own father. This is very very challenging to understand, or very tricky to understand. Why? Because on one side, Narad Muni is telling, hey, Haryashvas, what are you doing? You have attained such great understanding, and you have, with all this enigmatic or allegorical way, he is saying that you don't get into this married business, married life business. So of course, yesterday only freshly we had uh, anniversary celebrations. But here, the point here is Narad Muni, who is very eager to position everyone in the service of the Lord. He is seeing what is best. Why to get into this cycle and get a risk? And rather, he says, hey, why are you not Um, but how one could ignorantly defy one's own father? He's saying the Haryashvas can say, after all, we have come to the forest and we are doing all this tapasya and everything so that we can please our father, so that we qualify with our austerities, we can get married. And this is also what my father Daksha wanted. But Narada Muni is saying, how could you ignore? What does that mean? Haryashva is saying, one must accept the original instructions of the Shastras. According to the Vedic civilization, one is offered a sacred thread as a sign of second birth. One takes his second birth by dint of having received instructions in the Shastras from bona fide spiritual master. Very important. The point here is one should have a guru, but not any guru. A guru who is who? A bona fide guru. And how to know a bona fide guru? One who is expert in Shastras, and not just expert in Shastras, but is following the Shastras. Therefore, Shastra, scripture, is the real father. All the Shastras instructs that one should end his material way of life. If one does not know the purpose of father's order, Shastras, which is Shastra, he is ignorant. The words of a material father who endeavors to engage his son in material activities are not the real instructions of the father. Very important point. Of course, we should be very careful how we use this. It's not to escape, or it's not to, hey, come on, does this mean that I have to give up? What do you call? Give up, not give up. What is um, what should I? Does it mean that I have to renounce? Yeah, I have to renounce my father now. Yeah, the biological father now. What does that mean really? We should be careful. We should understand. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha jana na vidur asura. He says, who are less than human beings, asuras, but are not called animals, do not know the meaning of pravritti and nivritti, what work to be done and what work not to be done. In the material world, every living entity has a desire to lord it over with the material world as much as possible. This is called pravritti marga. All the Shastras, however, advise nivritti marga, or release from the materialistic way of life. So, Shastras, it goes further. Apart from the Shastras of Vedic civilization, which is the oldest of the world, other Shastras agree on this point. For example, Buddhist Shastras, Lord Buddha advises that one achieve nirvana by giving up materialistic way of life. In Bible, which is also Shastra, one will find the same advice. One should cease materialistic life and return to the kingdom of God. In any Shastra, one may examine, especially the Vedic Shastra, the same advice is given. One should give up his materialistic life and return to his original spiritual life. Shankaracharya also propounds the same conclusion, Brahman Satyam Jagan Mithya. This also means this material world or materialist life is simply illusion. And therefore, one should stop his illusory activities and come to the platform of Brahman. So, how to get there? One should be initiated into following the principles of Shastras. In offering initiation, uh, our Krishna consciousness movement asks one to come to the conclusion of Shastra by taking the advice of Supreme Speaker of Shastra. Who is that? Krishna. Forgetting the principles of materialistic way of life. I think there is also a very important point. Therefore, getting a materialistic father and mother is not a problem. uh, because in the purport it says, in regard to instructions of father and mother, it may be said that every living entity, including even the insignificant cats, dogs, and serpents, take birth of a father and a mother. Therefore, getting a material father and mother is not a problem. In every form of life, birth after birth, the living entity gets a mother and father. In human society, however, if one is satisfied with his material father and material mother and their instructions, and does not make further progress by accepting a spiritual master uh, and being educated in Shastras, he certainly remains in darkness. So, which means that's why we see it's not that in those times the father and mother are not expert in Vedas, but The process is that a person is going and accepting a guru and getting spiritual understanding and accepting a spiritual master as instructed in by Rishabdev. Pita na sa syad janani na sa syat na mochayed yaha samupeta mrityum. One should not strive to become a mother or father if one cannot save one's dependent son from the impending death of birth. And a parent who does not know how to save his son has no value because such fathers and mothers may be had in any form of life, even among cats and dogs. Anyway, that goes further. A first class intelligent man is called a Brahmana because he knows the supreme Brahman. According to Vedic injunctions, tad vijnanartam sagurum eva bhigachet. So it is said to know this science, one must approach a bona fide guru, a spiritual master, who will initiate the disciple with sacred thread so that he may understand the Vedic knowledge. Janmana jayate shudra samskarad the bhavet dvija. And what does that mean? Becoming a Brahman through the endeavor of a bona fide spiritual master is called sanskar. Samskara, the impressions. How are they coming? From the bona fide spiritual. After initiation, one is engaged in the study of Shastras, which teaches the student how to gain release from materialistic life and return home back to Godhead. The Krishna consciousness movement is teaching this higher knowledge of retiring from materialistic life to return to go back to return to Godhead. But unfortunately, many parents are not very satisfied with this movement. Huh? Aside from the parents of our students, many businessmen are also dissatisfied because we teach our students to abandon intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling. If the Krishna consciousness movement spreads, so-called businessmen will have to close their slaughterhouses and cigarette factories. Therefore, they are also very much afraid. But however, we have no alternative than to teach our disciples to free themselves from materialistic life so that they can end this business of taking birth again, cycle of birth and death. The importance of Shastras is mentioned. Yah Shastra Vidim Usruja Vartate Kama Karatah Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti Nasukham Na Param Gati. He says, one who disregards the injunctions of the Shastras and act whimsically as he likes never achieves the perfection of life, not to speak of happiness, nor does he return home to the spiritual world. Iti Vyavasita Rajan हर्यश्व एक चेतस प्रयुयुस्तं परिक्रम्य pathan panthanam anivartanam. After this, they just understood, yes, it's so nice. They all believed in his instructions and reached the same conclusion, having accepted him as their spiritual master. The circumambulated that great sage followed the path by which one never returned to this world. What is that? Nivritti Marg, and they attained success. There is also further to this purport, but I'll stop here. And also the 22nd verse, na we said. Swara Brahmani Nirbhata Rishikesha Padambuje Akhandam Chittam Aveshya Lokan Anucharan Muni. So after that, Narad Muni with his veena playing all this musical, uh, are you the seven musical notes sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni are used in musical notes, but originally they came from Samaveda. The great sage Narada vibrates sound describing the pastimes of the Lord. So the music has its role for what? Actually to help in aiding to make the glorification of the Lord very, very appealing or beautiful. Yeah, to beautify further, enhance it. Prabhupada writes, by such transcendental vibrations such as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, he fixes his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, he directly perceives Rishikesh, the master of senses. After delivering the Haryashvas, Narad Muni continued traveling throughout the planetary systems. His mind always fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. There is, yeah, I will end this with one nice um, song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. If you have the text in front of you, you can also refer to that. 22 verse purport. Nārada Muni Bhajaya Veena Radhika Ramana Name Nama Amani Udita Haya Bhagata Gita Same Amiya Dhara Varishe Gana Shravana Yugale Giya Bhagavata Jana Saghane Nache Bariya Apana Hiya Madhuri Pura Asaba Pashi Mataya Jagata Jane Keha Va Keha Va Nache Keha Mate Mane Pancha Vadana Narade Dhare. So the purport, I mean, it goes further. The purport of this song is that Narad Muni, the great soul, plays a stringed instrument called a veena, vibrating the sound Radhika Ramana, which is another name for Krishna. As soon as he strokes the strings, all the devotees begin responding, making a very beautiful vibration. Accompanied by the stringed instrument, the singing seems like a shower of nectar, and all the devotees dance in ecstasy to the fullest extent of their satisfaction. While dancing, they appear madly intoxicated with ecstasy. Maybe this is about Lord Shiva. As if drinking the beverage called Madhuri Pura. Some of them cry, some of them dance, and some of them, although unable to dance publicly, dance within their hearts. Lord Shiva embraces Narad Muni and begins talking in an ecstatic voice, and seeing Lord Shiva dancing with Narada, the Lord Brahma also joins, saying, all of you kindly chant Hari Bol, Hari Bol. The king of heaven, Indra, also gradually joins with great satisfaction and begins the dancing and chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol. In this way, by the influence of the transcendental vibration of the holy name of God, the whole universe becomes ecstatic. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, when the universe becomes ecstatic, my desire is satisfied. I therefore pray unto the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami that this chanting of Hare Nama may go on nicely like this. And Lord Brahma is the Guru of Narada Muni, who is the Guru of Vyasadev, and Vyasadev is Guru of Madhvacharya, and thus Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya is in the disciplic succession from Narada Muni. The members of this disciplic succession, in other words, the members of Krishna consciousness movement, should follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni by chanting the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They should go everywhere to deliver the fallen souls by vibrating the Hare Krishna mantra and instructions of Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. If one pleases Narad Muni, then the Supreme Personality of Lord Godhead, Rishikesh, is also pleased. And I want to highlight this. The immediate spiritual master is the representative of Narad Muni. There is no difference between the instructions of Narad Muni and those of the present spiritual master. Both Narad Muni and the present spiritual master speak the same teachings of Krishna. What is that? Manmana bhava madbhakta madhya jimam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. So, so this is the teaching. So finally, Krishna assures that by doing this, one need not fear because the Lord will deliver from all sinful reactions. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, I'll give a small time if there are any questions or anything anyone want to share. How was it? Any things that came or comments, questions before we close? What do you say? I was about to ask you. Pran Dhan Nitai Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I just like what I understood from this is it is not about, it is just about we getting away from the material entanglement and adopting the Krishna consciousness. right? It is not just about like entering to grihastha life or brahmacharya, what I understand from this.
So, I don't know what is your ashram state, but it is it is kind of a careful warning saying that if you, I mean, yeah, anyway, coming back to the point, yes, yeah, here Haryashvas are of a caliber of having very pure consciousness. Yeah, they're already advanced, uh, because they are at that level. To get into this level is kind of actually coming down. Yeah, even in the case of four Kumaras, also we can see that what happened in this case is that's where Narad Muni came and he said, okay, why do you want to go down and then come up? The question can immediately come, hey, but are you saying Grihastha ashram is so bad or is it lower than that? Eventually, what happens is, again, with my understanding is Grihastha ashram, whoever is taking the shelter, as long as much as possible, he is trying to be away from materialistic activities, by always engaging morning with his deity worship, evening with his Harikatha, or what is that, Shravanam, and eating prasadam whenever opportunity comes, speaking. So in that way, he tries to help himself to be aware. But we know that Grihastha ashram is not the end, right? Huh? The
Yes,
Shastras
sir.
are saying that one should come to the Vanaprastha state, one should come to the Sannyas ashram. This definitely means that it's very difficult to be in that, though we have all these privileges, or though we have all this, not privileges, I should say, sanctions. Oh no, the word of sanction is totally different these days. Mm, uh, Considerations, yeah, the considerations is there, but the point is that it's only for people who are of that level. One has to come to this detached level, then they see that there is no need of any interactions, there is no such rather one should be fully independently able to surrender 100% to the service of the Lord. So in that spirit, if one is coming to already that consciousness, one doesn't have to go down to experience again and then, because one may say, na, in this life I didn't get married, let me marry in this life and then advance. No, one if who has already has a good realizations, who is already having that gyan, sukruti, then he should not um, take a risk of entangling himself in this world. I don't know if that was your question, but
Yes, Guruji. It was like what basically Narad Muni is instructing them.
the Narmada is instructing, because he's instructing that, hey, did you consider what you should do? Your main job is to go back to the spiritual world, and marriage is something like you might get into Pravritti Marga and get stuck there. Hmm? Of course, if they would say, hey, we have attachment, if that would have been the case, Narad Muni would have given some other instruction, but because they know all this, only someone has to come and realize them. Sometimes this is also a point, right? Um, Mm, you know everything what is right, but because your mind is in this that you are a subordinate, or you have accepted someone and you are just following their instructions, sometimes we may not realize that are we doing it, because here it says that the spiritual master is the true father. I mean, I didn't read in detail about one of the purports. Prabhupada is saying that, so unlike animals, cats and dogs, the Mm, humans have parents after they are twice born, or after they take to this initiation process, they have a guru. Yeah, and guru shastras are actually the main father, and um, this emphasizes that what is the stress we need to give, importance we need to give is actually to the shastras, because we cannot guarantee that the biological parents would have that thorough understanding like Narada Muni has. Yeah. So in this case, so Narada Muni or spiritual master, when they come, it is of course a big pain for the parents, because they have so many dreams, and those dreams are shattered. The dreams of the kid and the dreams of the parents are shattered, and then they start cursing. This is what will happen. End of the chapter. What happens when the dreams are shattered, but the a Vaishnav is only eager to help out everyone, even at a risk of his own self. Yeah, this is what we will see later.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Again, I don't know if I have touched on what you were asking, but
Prabhuji, what I understood by your, like what you said, it is like it is depends on us. Like since we are not self-realized souls, we are adopting a certain ashram, but we are dedicating whatever best we can. But if we are come up to a situation where we realize, okay, we have attained certain things or up to mark, then we should adopt directly what it is said, like
no,
don't get
no,
entangled.
no, no. We have to be careful. Or even, I don't know what you were saying, but at least we have to be careful with one important thing. It is not that, yeah, it is like you get into a university after careful assessment, what you can do, what do you want to do. After you get into the university, you can't simply say, hey, now I don't need, I'm just backing off. Huh? It is not that after you enter into the Grahastha ashram and then you just avoid to take the responsibilities of Grahastha ashram.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So we have to see, we have to be more careful in taking a role. So that's why sometimes people will ask, hey, why should I marry? I can stay like a brahmachari. Sometimes for them, it's brahmachari doesn't work. Or for some, um, they are married, but they are so detached, they want to go into not brahmachari anymore, but they want to go into vanaprastha soon or become even sannyas very soon. But if he has responsibilities, he cannot do that. That's why in ISKCON we have this, that the wife should allow or permit so that a person can become sannyas when she is alive. And yeah, so all these things are there to protect ourselves, that we are not whimsically jumping, because sometimes out of our spontaneous feelings, we are not checking whether we can really jump. So just like, for example, you are a basketball player, you are just jumping to put a ball, right? But are
Yes.
you staying in that position? No,
Yes.
right? You just come down. That is our nature. So we have to assess what is our real nature. So if we are positioning there, then with all due respect, with all permissions, with all whatever is possible, one can do that. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. So we can't create our own ashrama definitions and lead our own life, because that is what is called apasampradayas, yeah, where we see that, hey, everyone, just like, what do you call this, sahajiyas, right?
Yes.
Sahajiyas, all these things can come from that if we take freedom in our hand, it's quite dangerous. That's why we take shelter of Guru, who is bona fide, and bona fide Guru will tell when is the right time to do what, and we are protected. We are under the shelter. Whether it is Grihastha ashram, whether it is Vanaprastha, like Brahmachari, doesn't matter. Even Sannyas ashram, even a sannyas is also uh, is under the shelter of another sannyas.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Nice question. Thank you. Oh, our dear Varsan Lila Mataji. Yeah, maybe you are busy.
Yeah, no, Prabhuji,
Yeah.
I'm
As
listening.
soon as as soon as when the session is coming to climax, then now I think that it is only to say Hare Krishna. Yeah, never knows who is called what time. I hope everyone is vigilant, but don't curse me.
No, nothing like that,
Not
Prabhuji.
you.
Actually, yeah, like towards the end of the class is clarification of establishing oneself in the mode of this father, the real father thing was very nice. Like, because I think some of the time most of us come across such
Yeah, it always comes
phenomenon.
to the point that, yeah, hey, how can you say this? Huh? It's insulting, not respecting your father or mother. How can you
Yes,
say? Yeah, from Shastra, with the base of Shastras, at least we can say this is what is Shastras telling. Though we are saying we are not speaking on that, but at least we say this. There is some reference in Shastras where a higher importance is given to the spiritual master. Yeah,
yes, Prabhuji.
nice. Satish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, this was also very deep because especially of the different societal people that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. So yeah, it was like little deep session, Prabhuji. And yes, Prabhuji, really looking forward how this is going to end, because as you rightly said, because many people think, people in ISKCON, meaning, they renounce things. That is the perception, at least the outside the world has. And I think you beautifully touched that point also. It's not like based on our understanding, we just renounce it. We just run away from responsibilities. I think deeply, I think we need somebody like you who teaches us at this deep, Prabhuji. Because
I mean, I'm not teaching something, I'm just speaking what Prabhupada is saying. So for me,
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but that's nice point, because the perception of ISKCON sometimes is that, hey, what happened to my kid? Yeah? After all, he is so nice, he was so obedient, he was doing everything, he had a lot of fear for me, a lot of love and affection for me. What happened to him? Yeah. So when we are exposed to the reality of life, urgency, what we have, what we should do, what is our goal, yeah, the transformation is from within. It's not like someone is tying, what do you call this? The neck belt of a dog. What is it called?
Collar?
Leash. Yeah. We are not having a leash and then pulling everyone, hey, come, come, come. It is that Krishna consciousness is pulling them to Krishna. Yeah. It's called leash, no?
Leash or collar belt, sorry, Prabhuji.
I think it's a dog leash, which is tied and then unleashing, to free. Leashing is to bind. Yeah, it's leash.
Yes,
Okay, nice. And I go to Hemagori Mataji. Everyone be ready, yeah? So I don't know whom I'll ask, yeah? Be ready with your unmuting thingy if possible. Okay, we then go to Shruti Mataji. Okay, good. I hope everyone is listening. And please don't join just for a formality sake. Yeah. In case if you are able to follow, if it benefits for you, then please join. Otherwise, just to okay, what will Prabhu will think? Don't join for that. Yeah. If you can benefit, if you enjoy, if you can contribute, then yeah, most welcome. Thank you very much. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नाम आचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। पिता गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Sometimes mute it or unmute it also, that happens sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, fine. As I said, if you want to join for a purpose, join. Otherwise, don't just join as a formal